briefly my introduction. I've been a retail consultant with KPMG. In my last 15 years of consulting career, I got a chance to work with some of the biggest retailers in this world. I have extensively consulted with Walmart. I have done a lot of work with Target. I've done a lot of work with Carrefour. I have also done a lot of work with the fashion guys. So I worked with Chico's. I worked with Coach quite a lot. I got a chance to work with some of the emerging market retailers in India and Eastern Europe. Then I have also got a chance to work with some of the newer guys which are coming in. So I worked with fast retailing in China. I also got Customer 360 work with, again, the Chinese e-commerce guys. So I had a chance to work with retailing. And last 15 years, I have seen the whole retail move from a very simplistic business where I am there to satisfy the need of my customer in form of a product to a very much customer evolving business where how well I manage my customer and what kind of relationship I own will decide the success of my business. What has happened in the last few years, there are a lot of technical changes which has happened, and I'm sure all of you know about it. But this whole data has become extremely huge. Today, you collect data when somebody enters your store. You collect data when he moves from one shelf to other. You collect data when he touches a particular product but does not buy it. You're collecting data in and out. And not only this, you collect data when his mobile phone is collecting data. You provide Wi-Fi. We were talking in the break. You provide Wi-Fi in the store, and you're collecting data. So collecting data at every minute by the hordes. What's happening with this data? There's a new trend which has come up with the mobility. Storing data has become far more easier. Earlier, to get all of this data together at one place was very, very difficult and very, very expensive. The cloud has made it very simple. I can actually host all of this data in the cloud without knowing where it is, and then forget about it. And then the new problem comes of the data security. Because I don't know where the data is, and somebody else will misuse it, or most likely going to get misuse it. And then this whole world of digital which has come in. In US, there are already about 14 to 18% of business, depending on which category of retail you are in, which actually happens on e-commerce. In the developing world, like India, China, Russia, it's about 4 and 5%, but growing at the rate of 100% year on year. If this is the pace of this whole e-commerce or the digital growth, how it's going to impact my business? So what it basically tells me that I need to look at my business very, very differently. Now, it's not only about data. I think where you get the value and where the last 3 years people have invested on is how to generate insight out of this data. The most difficult task is when I have this big data all over the place, how will I actually assemble it, integrate it, and process it to get some kind of an insight? That's made life far more difficult. Now, even if you are close to solve that problem, you are actually entering into a far bigger problem. How will you take action on the data? Because generating insight will not give you anything. It's just an insight. If I know that between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. only 10 customers enter into my store, that's an insight. It doesn't help me in any way. Until unless I know that how can I make this 10 to 100, how can I make those 10 people to buy something or buy rather more lines? So that action part is becoming far more important, far more critical. And there's a classical debate which is happening whether the data and the analytics sit in the business domain or in the technology domain. That's a debate which has already started. I think this chart you have seen multiple times, so I will not perhaps take too much of time on that. But broadly, what you see is most of the organization doing this. Most of you, and I will actually ask you to reflect back into your business, most of the time you spend in terms of figuring out what all has already happened in your business. How many people came into my store? Which lines they have bought? Where they have spent time on? How much of new products they have seen? Very, very few time which has gone in terms of why they are looking at a particular product. How can I make them buy more? How can I actually run a program or a promotion or a campaign where I will get more customer into my store? And that's where the challenge actually starts. Now, what is the impact of this on the retail? When we started retailing, and when I was in the college about 25 years back or 20 years back, we were only taught if you can get right customer, right product, right time, and the right price, you are the winner. But that's the retailing for the past. The new generation retailing is very, very different. All of us need to understand my customers are diverse. They have very different need. They live in a very complex environment. If I don't reach out to them and build a relationship with them, I will not be successful. I was talking to one of the retail CEO about a couple of weeks back, and a very interesting discussion. Till about few years back, the biggest asset in the retail business is the brand and the products which you carry. Today, the biggest asset is the number of customers you have relationship with. Means I can give you empty an example of this theory getting magnified. Means the valuation of WhatsApp will tell you, WhatsApp got valued not because of profit or the revenue. It got valued because of the number of customers it has. The value of Twitter will tell you. The value of Facebook will tell you. How quickly you start building an engaging relationship with your customer will decide where your business is going to be. The change, trust me, guys, is having far more faster than all of us thought. We still don't see it because there's an inflection point and suddenly it booms up. But the change is happening and it's impacting our retail industry quite a lot. And that's perhaps only the reason you will see most of the developed market, there are a lot of retailers which are under margin pressure these days because they're not able to compete with the pace of the change. I'm not saying they're not able to compete with technology. They're not able to compete with the pace of the change, and that's where the challenge is happening. This is our traditional retail model. All of you know that. You have an in-store, the sales rep will sell it, and there's a physical buyout which has happened. This is a standard model which used to operate. All of us are familiar with this. Just see in the last 2 years how much of complexity you have added to this model. Today, the demand management is not only in store. It happens to the websites, it happens through social media, it happens through mobile, it happens through online, it happens through contact center. There's a lot of sales which is happening through contact center now. The purchase action, which used to happen in the store with the sales rep, is not only happening with the sales rep. Again, it's linked to web. It's happening through mobile apps. I don't know how many of you do that. For last 1.5 years, whenever I've traveled to West, I've always used my mobile app to book a cab. I don't remember calling up any call centers or looking at the cab on the road. You will book a mobile app, the Uber will come and he will take you on. That's exactly the way it's happening. The delivery of the goods are happening in store. There's a large virtual basket all of you are containing. Go back and look at the basket which your sons or your younger sisters or brothers have. They all have a huge virtual basket sitting on their accounts on any e-commerce site they have. They may not have bought it as yet, which is their liking. I can get so much of time. The store pickups which are happening, the deliveries and the logistics becoming more and more important. So the customer which I used to have, where I had multiple touch points now come in. I have large number of customer. I have large number of touch points with them. I have a different number of tactics which I do. And I have a traditional management of managing my store or business. That all needs to get aligned and come into one kind of a format. And that's perhaps the way our business will change. What I just want to take about another 2 minutes to give you this whole piece of how this will happen is happen in terms of creating the value for the customer. The whole concept of customer value is perhaps going to change drastically. My value is not in the category I serve. My value is not in the product I sell. My value is going to be the customer I serve. The more and more engaged that customer is, the more I know about that customer, the more business I will get. It will also change where I need to make and invest my marketing dollars, where I need to make and invest my promotion dollars. That all is going to get diverted by that. And literally, when you look at the data, you're only answering some of the very, very, very basic questions. You're not answering any tough questions. Who are my target customer? What do they buy? Where do they buy? When do they buy? And why do they buy? All of you know that questions. That's exactly what you are answering. Once you have answered that question, the next question perhaps you answer is, who else looks like them so that I can get them to my store? Either it's an online store or a brick-and-mortar store, but I need to get them so that I can attract more customer. What do I offer them, either in terms of promotion or in terms of product or in terms of service so that they buy more? All of us have this problem. Through which channel should I serve them? Who will buy from online? Who will buy from offline? How do I get my customers to actually buy more lines, more products, more SKUs? And very, very importantly, once I've sold the stuff, how will I actually become relevant for them post that sales? And this is something which we tend to forget quite a lot. The guy came in. I was working with the grocery guys. Very interesting conversation. The guy comes in. He bought whatever grocery. They say grocery is a non-engaging category. The guy goes back. That whole trend has changed in the last 3 years or 2 years, big time. Because that person who has bought a grocery today is going to buy the grocery again tomorrow. Whether he's going to come to me or he's going to come to somewhere else is a big question mark. So literally, going back to the first sheet which I said, you have, again, multiple customers. You know about them. You have a very clear-cut strategy for about each of your touch points which you have. You have multiple touch points. You have a very clear tactics of how you're going to use it. And then you have a function which are coordinated function for those. So literally, you run all of this data which you are gathering in tandem to serve your customer, who become the focal point of your business, not the product or the categories. And I think that's where the big difference is going to come. And literally, if some of these solutions are done properly, it has a huge impact in terms of your business, both on top line and the bottom line. So that's the kind of discussion which we're going to have today. I'm going to have some of my fellow experts come on stage and talk to you about their experiences. We made fairly interesting panel. We have people who are running the retail stores. We also have people who actually own the solutions and the technology in this space. So we're going to get both service provider as well as the service users to come on the stage and talk about their experiences in terms of how data, analytics, CRM, big data, all of this hyped word had changed their business in the last 1 or 2 years. So that's predominantly what we're going to do. So let me just invite my fellow panelists. I will invite Mr. Abdul Qadir from LSH Holding. Please come on stage, sir. I will invite Michael from Dubai Duty Free. Hi, Michael. Please come on stage. Vic Bageria. He's the CEO of Savin Data System. Mark Thompson from Jabra Technology. Mark, please come. Mustafa Sadek, who is the CEO of Urban Buzz. And Pratap. Pratap is the CMO of GiftBig. Thank you, gentlemen. So I have it. Thank you for the time. I think what I tried to do in this last 10 minutes or 12 minutes is to set the context of how this industry is changing. What I will start with my panelists, and the way I thought I will structure it, is to ask their experience in terms of how they're seeing this change happening and where it's happening. I would like to do it in such a way where at the end of the session, I get about 10, 15 minutes to interact with you. In case you have any question to ask to our panelists or to me or anyone, we can perhaps try to answer that question of how this is going to go. So I'm actually going to start with Mr. Abdul Qadir. Abdul, you belong to a group which has large number of retail assets and you run large number of outlets. Have you seen any change based on this whole data explosion which has happened in your business? Is your business using it more often, not using it, find it useful? What's your views about that?
Hi, my name is Abdul Qadir. I am one of the IT director for the group of retail company. We own about 400 outlets, a mix of food, fashion, and sports. It belongs to Al Homeyzi. It's a well-known family in Kuwait. We have the biggest challenges at the moment is within the user themselves at the moment, what I believe. Because getting a calibered, people to work for you, it's still hard in this part of the world. That's number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, I mean, if you're talking about the big data, what are we talking about? It's from volume to value, right? You have a stack of data lying in your backyard, and you want to make sure that you can make some value out of that. The issue from the capturing the data itself from the front end. This is what I said, that the staff within the organization, you need to start the big data initiative within the staff before we go into the management to make sure that, because I'm an enabler. Okay, I'm a technology enabler, but then for the last 2 years, we have moved from enabler to a partner in business driver. The IT is no more enabler. Having said that, we've got so much data within the organization saved and lying at the backyard. We still didn't have, I don't think that we have even tapped 50% of it to check it. For example, we have CCTV cameras, okay, every stores. And we are storing the data within, but how many, who is looking into it? But recently we had an initiative by the audit teams. 2 months of time, from the 40 shops, they terminated 6 people. They just did the random check. Imagine if because of the theft and the shrinkage, because they thought, okay, let's look into this. Having said that, see how much money you can save if you just look into that data itself, just a CCTV. Forget about anything else, okay? Right. Because it goes, petabytes of data lying in my data center. But the problem is the business users still need to come up and say, okay, I need this. So we're going and telling them, it's always there is an ego issue between the IT and the business, okay? If you work in that culture, they always say, so why do IT have to tell us, we will ask if you need something because you are the support.
Sure.
Okay.
Very interesting. Yeah. Michael, I may come to you because he just made a very interesting point of an ego issue between business and IT. And you are from Dubai Duty Free and a manager for retail sales. So you represent the business side of it. And I hope you're sitting next to him so there will be no kind of a fight per se. But if I may ask you, Dubai Duty Free being one of the largest duty free globally and perhaps one of the largest retail network in a very close premise, it has a lot of captive customers who comes in and goes out because typically the duty free outlet serves a lot of transit passengers per se. But also the Dubai Duty Free has made its name in terms of the whole customer service and the kind of variety and the kind of SKU they sell. Much, much larger than a lot of other ones. How do you see in Dubai Duty Free the data is helping your business? Or do you also feel what Abdul said that though the data is there, but the business is not making proper use of it?
Thank you, Ahmed. I think, yes, data and the insights that we get from data has become very important to Dubai Duty Free. And I think especially in the last year, we have started kind of tapping into this data and trying to analyze it. We're doing something now which we tried to avoid doing in the past, where we actually capture boarding cards when somebody travels. And in September alone, we captured about 3 million boarding cards. And this gave us very valuable information, insights into the purchasing habits of particular flights going to particular regions, and things that we did not know. For example, like a flight going to Africa, we did not know that they were our biggest buyer of technology. But they are our biggest buyers of mobile phones, tablets, iPads. So we've now kind of tailored our offer, not just to focus on the high-end products, but also lower and mid-end products. We did not know that our Chinese customers actually buy makeup. We thought that they were only buying skincare and perfumes. But it turned out that 25% of our sales in makeup comes from flights going to China. And this we learned by analyzing boarding card analysis. We also learned, for example, that our first and business class passengers, the penetration levels and the conversion rates are very low because, of course, they get to the lounges and it's a comfortable place to be. You don't necessarily want to go to the chaos of the shop floor if you can be in the lounge before you fly. So we now have an opportunity that we can try. We've just launched our website, our web shop, where you can purchase online. There's about 2,500 products on this this e-web shop of ours. And this is now an opportunity for us to send our staff into the lounges with iPads. It's something that we're busy working on at the moment. So that same passenger that wouldn't normally come down to our shop can now sit in the convenience of the lounge with this iPad in front of him. Our staff will assist him in the purchasing process. He pays online with his credit card, and our staff will bring the items that he just bought to the lounge. So it really makes the whole process much more simpler. I think technology has also played a big part in one of our biggest categories, which is perfumes and cosmetics. We have about maybe 10 or 12 cash registers in our biggest perfume shop. And of course, during busy times, that is just not enough. And queues start to develop and so forth. And what we've deployed just recently is an EPOS, which is basically an electronic point of sale. So I have 15 ECRs in our perfume shop, but at the same time, I've got 50 beauty advisors in that same shop. So all of a sudden, if they see queues start forming, any of our beauty advisors can take the EPOS, walk up to the customer, are you paying by credit card? 70% of our customers in perfumes do pay by credit card, and you can do the transaction right there without him having to be in a queue. So I went from 15 ECRs to 75 ECRs just by implementing that kind of technology. And also the ways in which we are gathering data, it's changed a lot, and perhaps I can talk about that at a later stage as well.
Oh, fantastic. Vic, I may actually come to you because he talked about technology. Also, I think one of the interesting insight which Michael has given is that once he started scanning the boarding card, he got a lot of insight about the customer. You and your company actually build solutions which are in terms of figuring out the footfalls into the customer or the retail stores and how they are doing. Have you seen a lot of people adopting to this kind of technologies, or this is still very nascent in this part of the world?
I think over the period of 12 years that we're in this business, I think today every retailer is adopting this, and they are using it very intensively. In fact, from using all several data that they do for their KPIs, footfall has become one of the most important parameters or dimensions to do the conversion. Having said that, the way the information has been used has changed over the year. People would now want to integrate the number of people walking into the store with their fast-moving goods, their slow-moving items, their average basket size. So the whole KPI equation has gone beyond what it used to be before. So the answer is yes, they've been using this very extensively now.
Okay. Mark, you also actually run a technology company. Have you also experienced some of this change? And perhaps it will also be good to understand your insight, how you see the change different in different part of the region, because you also handle the European part of the business and the Middle East part of the business, how you see the gap which is emerging, if there's any.
Okay, so from a technology company point of view, one of the things we're certainly seeing when we talk to retailers is, and I'll give you a quote that was given to me last year by a retailer, and I was talking about data capture and new techniques. And he said to me, don't talk to me about big data. We already have big data. Give me insights, give me ways to use it, help me make decisions based upon all of this information. And we broke it down into almost two different types of data. First of all, there's all the data they're already capturing, and is it the right data? And then it's also, what are the other decisions we could make if we captured new data? And what are the techniques out there? And it was interesting, Abdul was talking about the CCTV cameras in the store. And they're a fascinating tool that we don't use enough at the moment, because the cameras can act as people counters. They can see whether people are male or female, so we can do gender analysis, we can even do height, we can even work out through the cameras, through analyzing that data, whether or not the people coming in are part of a family group or an individual, because that will impact your usage of the checkouts later. So using existing technology that's already in stores actually could be a very cost-effective. The challenge I think most retailers have is that data is still sitting in silos. So the data from the CCTV cameras is probably, in a retail perspective, owned by the loss prevention team, and they don't want anyone else to have access to it. And getting that and providing that information in a useful format to the store operations team is a challenge, because everyone's got their power bases within the retail organization. So I almost think we should look at the higher level question first, what type of decisions do we want to make? And then where are the data points that we can capture, and what tools do we already have in place to be able to capture that data? Because as we had a brief discussion before we came out, data by itself has no value. I come from a market research background originally, and we were always taught, you don't look at data. You want to turn data into information. But actually now it goes into almost more stages. You want to turn data into knowledge, if you like. Knowledge accompanied by wisdom, if you like, understanding, will then help you make better decisions. So there's almost 4 stages that are required in terms of data, moving it through into the insights and then the actions. And it's who needs that information, whether it's real time, whether it's a day late, 2 days late, whatever, and then what are those actions that they're going to take.
Right. No, I think this is very interesting concept, Mark. Mustafa, I will actually come to you. You run this business in Urban Buzz, and I think you are perhaps the best person in the panel to answer. How do you make decisions? Do you ask for an insight, or do you been fed with a report? So how do you see this kind of a transition happening, what Mark was trying to say?
So part of Urban Buzz is we do help businesses set up and manage their customer loyalty program, and this really goes into the action phase. So there are 3 phases to customer loyalty. Is 1, capturing the data, 2, making sense of the data, and then taking action, because without the action, everything is useless. And what we're seeing is, as we've heard, that businesses are already capturing a lot of data, and they just don't know what to do with it. And so the key is to provide them with a technology that would enable them to simply translate their data into insights and knowledge, as we heard, but then also take the 3rd step, which is the action, is how can I then engage with the customer, not only within the store, but outside the store, because now we really have the means, and the technology gave us that, to really go with the customer throughout their journey across. So not only in the store, when they leave the store, what are they doing, who are they talking to, are they talking about our brand, what are they saying, and then tap into that and engage with them. And this is really where customer loyalty plays a big part, because now you're playing an incentive role for the customer to engage with you. So it's a two-way conversation. I'm talking to the customer, but in the meantime, I'm asking the customer to give me something in return, but not for free, right? So it's always about incentivizing customers, and we always talk to the businesses about not to go about the whole thing all in one shot, because when you go to the customer and try to get all the information, all the data, you're probably going to scare them away. So it needs to be a phased approach. There needs to be a relationship that you build. There needs to be a trust between the customer and the business. And with time, you start collecting that information slowly. And then as you collect that information, you build your plan on what action you need to take based on what you're seeing.
Okay. Pratap, I will perhaps come to you because you run a gift card kind of a business which is very much data dependent, and you work with various retailers providing that kind of a technology to them. How have you seen the change in the use of data or the whole value of customer in the recent past? Or if there is no change, then there is no change.
So we are in this position where, as you said, we provide the services to retailers to launch and manage their prepaid cards, gift cards, mobile-based cards, and digital gift cards. And in addition, so we are a service provider to these retailers. Could be a physical retailer, could be an e-tailer. And in addition, we work a lot with the IT team, so to speak, because it's integration with their billing systems, and it's all said and done. It's a currency of the brand. It's a currency of the retailer. So we work with the CFO of the organization because it's got to behave the way the financial instrument of the retailer needs to behave. And at the same time, we've also launched our own brand, so to speak, where we work with the business teams to drive their prepaid instruments to be sold, to be purchased by consumers across various touch points, so that the instrument is not just available to the consumer from one single point of purchase, which is the respective brand's store, but also other points of availability. So with respect to data, as far as the service provider role that we play is, the fact is that the data is hosted and managed on our platform, on our servers. And so one singular aspect is that the retailers have adopted pretty speedily the whole concept of the fact that data is sitting outside of their systems. That was a tremendous leap of faith in a service provider that the data with regard to their sales, and we're talking about the biggest of retailers today in India, and in this part of the world as well, in the Middle East, where on the one hand they believe that data is sacrosanct, has got to be sitting with us on our servers. And when they see the benefit of the fact that they're working with specialists in specific domains of expertise, and this data is actually sitting outside of the systems, but of course, confidential, the data resides, the data is owned by the respective retailers, but not sitting in their own systems. That's a significant paradigm change in the way they need to be looking at business, because the amount of data that's available is, of course, humongous. Data is growing, and we're talking of retailers having sheer numbers of transactions growing from a few hundreds to millions of transactions happening on a monthly basis. And the singular belief that, okay, this data is relevant as a data point, the largest retailers are probably using about 20% of the capability of our platform as far as capabilities go. So we don't really hold this against that you're not using 100% of the capabilities. But even that, those 20% that they use, how relevantly are they using it? Is it really driving business? So the ones who've actually benefited from this are actually clocking tremendous growths in numbers. Simply, for instance, when we talk about the gift card or the gifting category, data points showed that about 78% of the consumers purchasing for gifting occasions on the last couple of days of their requirements of the occasion. So what do we do with that data? That itself is, so the retailers know that, okay, so which means that there's a huge challenge on their operational logistics systems, that because the products have got to be made available, the gift cards have got to be available at the stores or at the e-store. So this helped us, we worked with the business teams and the IT teams to launch what's their digital instant delivery gift cards, so which wasn't there. And this is a system where even in the Western world, the concept of physical retailers having digital gift cards, which are usable at their physical stores, is still early days in those parts of the world. The largest of department stores having e-gift cards in addition to physical gift cards. Whereas in this part of the world, we've had retailers just seeing this particular data point that gifting is big in this part of the world, consumers want it, but at the same time, they know there's an occasion coming up, but still 78% of gifting purchase happens on the last 48 hours of the actual occasion coming up. So how do we ensure that's done? And so we work closely over the last 12 months. So the largest of retailers have launched digital gift cards, and significantly that's the largest growing segment of their digital portfolio, where consumers are purchasing digital gift cards, although they have an option of physical gift cards as well. So this is actually a point where data is there, humongous amount of data is there, but what do we make out of those specific points which can be converted into actual business reality and add to business growth for the respective businesses is what's relevant here.
Thanks, Pratap. Abdul, perhaps I will come back to you. And you started and raised this debate about IT and business not using the IT capability well, and IT not providing the right inputs or wrong inputs or whatever it is. But this whole hype around analytics, big data, digital, who owns it? Is it owned by business or is it owned by IT? Is there kind of an ownership tussle which is going on, and because of which one of the coherent theme I heard from the panelists is that we are not using the full value of what this data can do, or is there some other issue in terms of ownership? So what will yours say, that who owns it, whether it's owned by IT department or the business per se?
As I said before, IT was an enabler, till a couple of years back. Okay, right. But now the role has been changed to a partner in business driving. IT is your role now, not only just enabling and walk out. Okay, we need to take them through show them exactly what we have, what you can do with it. Just not capturing is not enough. I think we need to show them the light. We need to put them into bring them into the spotlight. I've been following yesterday the whole day about all the CEOs meet, with all the respect to all the CEOs, we had an excellent CEOs, but they all been talking about the technology, okay? But when it comes to the reality, see how many of them will go for it, okay? Even if they are technocrat, even if they know the technology, when it comes to spend money, anything to do with the money, to the money means the resources, be it employees or to buy the IT equipments or application, whatnot. But they said, okay, let's manage it this year. We'll see next year. Okay, this is the first thing you'll hear from them. Okay, I mean, how are you doing it? Even if you say, okay, let's increase the sale first, then we'll see. I mean, what we're talking about, I mean, IT is just giving the idea. We can just innovate, but we cannot, to execute. The execution has to come from the top and the bottom. It should be driven from the top to bottom. Okay, so IT is a support, basically. I mean, we're sitting there and we're trying to, send the message to the CEO, okay, this technology is available, that technology is available, but then you see the changes does not happen that quick, okay? And see, I live in North America, so whenever I go there, every 6 months, you go to the retail shop, there's something new. There's always something new, at the retail, at the point of sales. Okay, when you walk out and you just ask you questions, you sign, everything digitalized. If you see everything retail, you know that you're coming from that part. I mean, so Walmart or Targets or, you go to Old Navy or Gaps, they'll ask you to just sign and that everything. And before you walk out, you get an email. You get a 20% discount. Thank you for being our partner. So, I mean, these kind of message have been taken through. I mean, many times we take the proposal to the CIO, CEO, then it's all been, put it on hold. Many projects, it's not only that, and coming back to your question, you asked about how...
Who owns it?
Who owns the
should
data?
own
Data owner is always user. We are a custodian. Our job is to make it available and secure. The IT's responsibility to make sure that data is available when the user wants to use it, okay, and it's secure. And the rest of it, how to use it, but we can only suggest that. But the problem is, the more we go, like because of my initiation last time, like that CCTV must be reviewed. It's not only the problem, not only the theft control, as rightly said. You can see the customer behavior, see how many customers and the employees, how they're behaving with people. You can improve your customer service to a large. And the revenue is there. We are talking about the big data. We are very far away from it. Because as I said, we still have a lot of stack of data lying in our backyard. We are not even looked into it. Not only that, I use people count, to check the conversion factors. The people counting is to analyze your footfall. Okay, that we use that very extensively in all our retail. We have almost 400 shops across the region. Okay, and we got a lot of data. It's pulled into our data centers in Kuwait, but it's only one data center we're using some sort of private cloud. Okay, and you don't have to. We are not spending so much money on the infrastructure, but we still need to go very, very, I said very far, going for the, even if you're talking about the Hadoop, right. That's, I think, maybe another 10, 20 years probably in this part of the region. Because the way the growth is very less. Although our retail is growing 8% every year in the Middle East. Okay, but the technology, the spending, it's not, although the technology price is going down, okay, the amount, I'm not talking about the percentage, the amount, it's not investing. They are not investing in technology still.
No, you have actually got a very interesting point, and perhaps I will actually want to bounce it off to Mark also. And Mark, you work in a similar space. So when I look at Abdul, he actually buys the technology, he works for the buyer side, but you sell the technology. And all the logic says that as long as any CEO or a business leader sees an ROI, he will buy it. Now, do you agree with what Abdul is saying? Is there been a kind of a stagnation in terms of investment, or do you think it's about ability of the business to use and consume that technology which is resisting them to buy or invest?
I think there's been, or we're in the middle of a major shift, because traditional purchase of technology has been sitting with the IT teams or the functional teams, store operations, etc. They already have in mind exactly what they want to do, whether it's to buy a physical checkout counter, or it's buy some mobile devices for inventory management. So it sits with the project managers to be able to go out to the market and actually look for the elements of the solution that solve that. That's the historic, that's the traditional look, because the business case has already been made internally to change that. I think when we're talking analytics and when we're talking about the understanding of customer behavior and the future technologies, what's actually, it falls upon the technology companies actually to help build that business case much better, because we're talking about much bigger spend, for example, and that spend has to cut across different business units. So, for example, an analytics package may cost $5 or $6 million. Now, that's probably not going to, does it sit within the IT budget? Does it sit within marketing? Even though the analytics and the data, the information that comes out of that might benefit the logistics, the marketing, the inventory management operations side. So there's real different decisions that need to be made, and now they're being made at a higher level. And that requires those people sitting at the CEO and CIO level to understand what those benefits are. And it's not an individual operational team that's going to be able to push that and justify it by themselves. So the industry itself, from a technology point of view, has to work a lot harder and has to shift their approach to be, I guess, a trusted advisor more, rather than simply a seller of tin, as it used to be.
Right. So Mustafa, if I may come to you, because you perhaps will sign off most of this contract, and perhaps you've seen that in your organization, and you've seen two viewpoints, one from an IT service provider and one from an IT department. And I can perhaps add to that there's a lot of misconception of the fact that analytics is very expensive, and that's why people literally pay to people like consultants to come in and do the work rather than buying the IT packages, because all of them feel it's going to be prohibitively expensive, and the consultants are less expensive from that regard, kind of stuff, or they are pay by use kind of a model which works on. But do you see there's a shift which is happening in the CEOs per se in terms of use of analytics, and they are willing to invest on that, or you see there's still some resistance, and if yes, why that resistance is?
No, there's definitely a shift. I mean, traditionally, technology was looked at as a cost center. It's something that they need to do and they have to pay for. I think that shift is happening now to looking into technology as a central piece of the business, because competition is increasing, not only locally, but globally. So as a business, you're no longer confined to a location. So your competition is everywhere. So that's where technology comes into play, and they play a big role. So what we're seeing is a lot of businesses, a lot of CEOs are looking now at technology to differentiate themselves from the other businesses in terms of collecting the data, in terms of engaging with the customers on a regular basis, and in terms of adding value to their product or service. So they're looking at it as an added value, not as a cost anymore. Because the trends are changing, and consumers are asking for it. So consumers are no longer willing to go with the business who's not willing to provide them with the technology that they're using on a day-to-day basis. Is it going to happen in one day? No, because it's a mind shift. So people are going to need to get used to the idea of, we're going to have to put technology in our roadmap, in our long-term planning. So that's one. And there was also, as you said, the idea of, it's going to take a lot of investment, it's going to take a lot of time to build all that. That's also not true. So this is a misconception over there. With the cloud-based services, with the service model, all that is changing. Now businesses can get the services that they used to take years to build, and all the data that used to take months to analyze. Now they can get it in a few weeks or a few days even, if they go with that new model, which is the cloud-based service model. Definitely we see that changing. Definitely we see a lot of appetite from businesses to get that. It's just going to take some time.
Sure. Michael, if I may come to you, and with the size of Dubai Duty Free, I don't think you guys have constrained about investing in technology. But having said this, you have a much different challenge, because most of your customers are transit people. So it's very difficult to maintain a longish relationship with them, kind of thing. So do you see there's kind of a match between the technology which you get in, the investment you get in terms of understanding your customer, and what are the kind of actions you are trying to take to keep and maintain the relationship with those customers, because many of them are not the local residents, they live all over the world, per se.
Ahmed, it's true. We kind of get one shot of meeting a customer's expectation because he might not come back into our shops again. Impulse plays a very important role in our company. That means we've got to have the right products from reputable brands. We've got to offer fantastic service. The after-sales service is just as important, especially if you sell electronics or technical equipment. Look, big data, information, all very important, but we keep things really basic and simple. And if you want to know what the customer wants, basically ask him. We've got about 225,000 potential customers passing through our shops every day. We hope and try and sell something to every second one of those people. We have about 550 cash registers in the company. Our most important source of information is our staff and the interaction that they have with the staff. We have about 6,000 staff in the company from 50 different countries. They speak 38 different languages. 70% of our workforce are under the age of 30. And about 39 of the original 100 staff that started our company 31 years ago are still with Dubai Duty Free today. We have a lot of ways of interacting with our customers. I've heard people talk about CCTV cameras. We have about 650 CCTV cameras in the company. We use these cameras to catch about 4,500 shoplifters every year. But apart from that, we've also started using these cameras to catch our staff delivering world-class service. And we actually launched a program which is called Gotcha, and Gotcha has two facets to it. One is Gotcha Watch, and one is Gotcha Voice. Gotcha Watch is all about our duty managers and supervisors on every shift in our 5 different locations, sitting in the CCTV control room and looking at a set number of people every day. And these staff has to adhere to 5 sets of criteria or KPIs which they need to meet. But not only do they have to deliver those 5 sets of criteria, but they also have to do it with sincerity. There's also a sincerity rating that we give the staff after he's met all 5 of those points. And if the duty manager or the supervisors complete their daily sessions, they will go down to the shop floor and reward the staff that delivered the kind of service that we're looking for. And all the staff has been trained on what is expected of them. Likewise, with the ones that don't meet the criteria, a coaching session will be arranged with them. And since we've started this program, our customer service satisfaction ratings has gone up from 60 to the mid-60% to mid-90% at the moment, which we're very pleased with. The other aspect of it is the Gotcha Voice, where we have Gotcha Voice agents walking around with iPads, and they approach customers that has a Dubai Duty Free bag in their hand, and they ask them 10 questions about their shopping experience and the service that they had while buying. And what we've done as well is, if any one of these 10 questions are a negative answer or there's a negative comment, the duty manager on any one of the 16 different shifts in the 5 locations will get an alert sent to him saying this is the negative comment in this particular area. The duty manager can go to the area and find out exactly what went on. Likewise, if all 10 of the questions are answered positively or there's a positive comment, a positive alert goes out to the telephone or the mobile phone of the duty manager, and again he can go and tell the staff, well done, I just got this comment. Since we started this program, we've done about 120,000 customer interviews, and we've sent out about 68,000 positive alerts. We do 2 things really in Dubai Duty Free. We promote brand Dubai and brand Dubai Duty Free. The most important brand in our company is the brand of Dubai Duty Free. Because our audience and our customers are from an international field, we might not get the same people coming through again. It's very important that our reputation and our brand sits in the right place in the hearts and minds of our customers. And that's why we spend a lot of time promoting international events. We purchased the Dubai Duty Free Tennis World Championships, which attracted 115,000 spectators this year. We reached a global audience of about 400 million people with our tennis championships. We attracted 7 out of the 10 top 10 women in the world and 5 out of the top 10 men's players in the world. And the total media coverage that we got from this event is valued at about $718 million to us. So it's very important for us to sponsor these events and for people to know us internationally and not just locally. And we do spend a lot of time in understanding our customers and analyzing their needs, but also definitely making sure that the experience that they have in the shop the first time that we meet them is a positive one, because we might only have one shot at interacting with this customer.
Right, Michael. I think, Pratap, you have a similar challenge as Michael had. Michael had transit customer, but your demand fluctuate seasonally. So closer to the gifting period, your demand goes up, and that there will be seasonal variation. May I request quickly, in a short, if you can explain how you manage that kind of a demand fluctuation and the customer demand, so that that short answer will help us to get to the point how we are managing different challenges in terms of customer management.
Yeah, you're right. If one were to look at the situation from the conventional point of view that there are specific gifting seasons and therefore the category is very seasonal, then we would have had a problem on our hands. So we had to turn the situation on its head and create gifting occasions. So one is our very business model said, every product, every service can be made giftable. A movie experience can be giftable. Otherwise, if I had to give somebody a movie experience, I had to purchase a cinema ticket and gift it to him or her. So I create a gift card category for a movie, a gift card experience for a grocery shopping, a gift card experience for a restaurant. So which means these are occasions which these brands were never in the giftable realm of experience at all until the advent of this particular category of gift cards. If a consumer wanted to give, it would be, say, a mobile phone or a watch or a garment. So now, with these brands which were not in the gifting segment at all, were able to be getting into the productizing their services. So those service experiences were there now. And so because of which now, one is this, we got these other segments which were not in the gifting segment, and two, creating different occasions. And three, the more number of brands and offering which were there, be it for specific festive occasions, be it for different occasions which are there for him to her, individual-based gifting occasions, for corporate-based gifting occasions. So brands themselves who were, even otherwise, the seasonality, the brands were able to get into corporate gifting, which otherwise they were not able to address because of the fact that it was a very manual process. So the moment you get into corporate gifting, there are corporates gifting for multiple occasions, be it for their tenure awards, be it for their incentive awards, be it for their reward and recognition programs. So brands who were earlier not able to get into corporate gifting segment were now able to handle the corporate gifting segment as well.
Right. I think, Vic, I want to ask you a question, and post which I will perhaps open it for the audience to ask a couple of questions. I know we are at the top of the hour. But one of the biggest challenge which perhaps all of us face is in terms of how secure the data which somebody is capturing for us is. Where it's going to get used or not. Now, you make a lot of analytics product, and you would have seen data coming from multiple sources, from multiple companies. What do you think, and I'm not going to go to the ethical debate of security, but I'm more interested in what do you think the current security standards are? Are various people or retailers who capture our data, are they using it in a secured way, or are they not using it, or what are the challenges you see in this environment?
Well, as the data continues to rapidly grow, so does the expectation to analyze it. Now, the way the companies look at it, they have probably been faced with three different options when they have so much of data. One is add hardware, where they can actually store all their data on their premises. Second option would be to look at different ways to manage the data. Third would be do nothing about it. So the option one is a high-ticket, more expensive, way of managing the data. The option three is going to put you out of business. So retailers today, I'm going to be more regional specific. I think, as per my opinion, the MENA region, or rather the Middle East, is not open for the cloud model. It's more, I mean, this is the conversation that I have with most of my clients, where it's more economical for them to host the data on cloud versus have it on premises. And they have some kind of apprehensive about the data been secured. There are no confidential parameters drawn here between the hosting company versus the client. So there is a lot of I think it's a mindset that needs to move from, and also it's also the cost of storing the data. So in terms of security, I think whatever data has been used, and I'll talk from what we are, in terms of in-store analytics and in terms of customer behavior experience. Most of the customers are hosting the data and are using it within their own premises. They're using the more expensive route, and that's probably the reason why we don't see a lot of retailers practicing, the big data to the whole potential that it should be, which is actually affecting the growth of, or tapping the opportunities that they have. So there is a big concern over the security. There are code of conducts which are not drawn in this region or internationally. We look towards the West to see what is the best practices, and we try to see how we can implement it in this region. At this point, I think we are a really long way to go in terms of trusting that.
I think it's an interesting perspective, and as you rightly said, it's just not about technology and the infrastructure, but it's also about the mindset in terms of how we use this data and how we secure this data. With this, I may actually open it for audience, and if you have a couple of quick questions to the panelists here, I would like you to ask those questions before we end this session. Any question from any audience?
Hi, my name is Anurag Bajpai. I'm a partner at KPMG. My sort of question is, we spoke about, and the general consensus from the panel is that there is data available, but possibly we're not leveraging the data, we're not using the data. Mark mentioned about the fact that there is possibly lack of clarity on whether this is a business domain or this is an IT domain. When you look at the business side, and when we're talking about CEOs or we're talking about general managers, is there an issue that they aren't really aware of how can this data be leveraged, or there is a reluctance in terms of investment in leveraging the data? So is it a question of awareness, or is it a question of being aware but not willing to invest because they still believe that this is possibly still 5 years away as far as the region is concerned?
So Mustafa, if I may can direct this question to you, because perhaps you are one of the most prominent person here who can answer this question. What are the challenges you see because of which it's not happening?
From a business perspective, especially at that level, the C level, the cost is the number one on their mind. So whenever you come to them with a solution, that's the first question they're going to ask: how much is it going to cost us, and what's the ROI for that? And it goes back to the misconception that it is going to be expensive and it's going to take a long time. So it's going to take a lot of resources. And it goes back to where that data is hosted. Do we go the traditional route of doing all that on our own? So when they start thinking that way, that definitely there's a barrier right there that stops the conversation. So there's definitely some educational phase that needs to happen. That things have changed and it's not as expensive as it used to be. It's not going to require a lot of resources and all that. Once that business case is presented, then we see some willingness to actually continue the conversation and move along with that.
Right.
Can I just jump in on that one as well? I think you mentioned a mindset, and I think it's critical here to almost change your mindset when we're talking about data. And I'll put it this way. Data is something the retailers already own. They already have it. It's an asset. If we see it as an asset and then it's just a matter of looking at it a different way, how can I best use that asset? For example, if you already owned a store but you never opened the doors, then you'd say, that's crazy. We've got to open the doors, we've got to put the right products in there, we've got to put the merchandising in there. You already own that data. That data is there. It's a matter of how do I get better access to it? How do I see the patterns in that data? And then how do I make decisions on that data? So there is a mindset there. Mustafa mentioned a while ago about investment and IT being seen as a cost and this being seen as a cost. I think it has to be turned around into an investment in those assets. I think the whole set of modeling needs to be changed, and that is technology companies as well, because actually, should it be a one-off cost? Should it be that $5-6 million or so that people talk about? Or actually, is this an OPEX cost that we should just build into the OPEX model in terms of cloud services or storage, manipulation, and analytics of the data? And I think we have to start looking in that way, and we're certainly seeing that in the US, a much more drive towards a monthly fee basis.
No, absolutely. And I think
if I may
Just
add
add a
something
point.
quick, one of the major challenge when we look at the investment part versus technology, this region and most of the retailers have come from a traditional trading background, and as they've evolved over this so many years, they have picked up technology. However, their main priority is their business is trading. Their business is how am I budgeting right for my next order? How am I planning my next season? Is technology a part of it in their mind? It's getting there. It's not yet. When they start seeing the fruit out of it, I think they will be more open to the investment. And I've seen out of experience, if you can define an ROI to a businessman, to a CEO, and say this is an ROI, this is the period, and partner with them rather than sell them, tell them the cost, but be with them. I think it's about relationship between a vendor and a retailer. So I see that being a more successful model, where we partner with the customer, we define the ROI, and then you don't see a problem in the investment. And then the mindset, obviously, from trading to to the modern way of retailing, is you see the gap filling quick.
Just to add
Anecdotally,
one
this is a
point.
point. So in our case, we've worked with a variety of retailers, family-owned, transnational corporations, startups, and so there's no, and even so whether it's business-owned or IT-owned, we've got instances where it's, depending on the category they operate in, it's the legal department which is owning it and doing a fantastic job of it. Because of the fact that the legal, when I say legal, I'm saying the non-traditional, non-IT, non-business, but those departments who know the entire intricacies of the respective category of what is involved. We're talking of data security, hosted on the cloud versus on-premise, the complexity of their category, and there are certain domains within the organization who've got a better handle and better context of how they operate in their business. In certain cases where family-owned businesses have done a fantastic job of adopting technology as compared to transnational organizations. We've had instances where transnationals say they're waiting for their approvals for 3 years from New York or Philadelphia, whereas the local office wants to do it, but they haven't got it. Whereas the family-owned, could be a 75-year-old family-owned business, have done a fantastic job of adopting technology. So it's largely a mindset rather than really zeroing in on this type or this kind of business only can do in a particular way.
Sure.
Just to add one point, who is supposed, how the management get convinced? Now, with the influx of information, so-called data, or called big data, okay, there's a new layer has been, born in an organization called data scientist or data analyst, which has not been, talked about so far. We know that there is a data, there is a management. Okay, who's going to do the job? Okay, this is not the IT who has to convince the business management. We can only just give them very very high level benefits, but to convert the volume to the value, it's the job of this data scientist, which is very critical. Before even going into that, you need to hire a data scientist or data analyst who knows your business and how can you benefit this volume to the value. Otherwise, there's no use of you going to the big data concept at all.
No, absolutely. And I think you raise a very, very good point. And I know, and I'm conscious of the fact that I'm delaying your tea, but data scientist is a fairly interesting term, and whenever we will have time, we will talk about it. But literally, what Abdul said is constituted of 4 different components. You need a human being who has a very strong business knowledge, who has a very strong functional knowledge, or a customer management knowledge, who has a very strong mathematical knowledge, and also a very strong technology knowledge, which typically does not exist in this part of the world, or anywhere in the world for that matter. A human being with all the 4 skills. With this, perhaps I will thank you all for patient listening. I think it was a good session. All the panelists are here. If you have any question, we can meet with you separately and talk to you. But thank you for your time. Thanks a lot.